Hello everyone, welcome to another Weather Wednesday. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Seems like I've been saying that every episode, but this day we do have a lot to talk about. There's some crazy stuff going on around the world, and we're going to start off with just a little bit of a review. So using the satellites behind me, we can see over time here, we can see these typhoons right here, which is the Asian word for hurricane, and we can see that one that was Typhoon Haishin as it hit South Korea there, followed quickly by Typhoon Haishin, and that has caused a lot of flooding. Thankfully, no loss of life. They were prepared for this, and they are over in Asia, they build their buildings nice and strong, sturdy, able to withstand typhoons. So here we see some images of the flooding going on in Korea, causing lots of rainfall, causing landslides. And this is one of those satellite images of Typhoon Haishin as it hit the southern islands of Japan right before it went up into South Korea. It hit just the east side of South Korea. Now, it's very interesting that we are talking about these typhoons because it is actually influencing the weather going on here in the United States right now. So let's take a look at the United States right now and see what has been happening over the last 24 hours or so. Here are the clouds over the last 30 days. Fast forwarding to the most recent images here, we can see a nice frontal line right here with some thunderstorms down in the Texas area. If we back this up, if you watch carefully, here is that counterclockwise rotation that indicates a low pressure area. And then if you look carefully, these clouds right here, this is cold weather right here. That just bottoms out, just kind of collapses straight down south towards the Rocky Mountains right here. This has caused a 60-degree plummet. That's right, 60 degrees in over 24 hours. Plummet through the Midwest. So in Denver, Colorado, they experienced a high temperature of 100 degrees on Saturday, and then 3 days later, followed by a 90-degree day on Monday. On Tuesday, Denver experienced temperatures that didn't get out of the 30s. So it dropped, in one day, it dropped 60 degrees in Colorado, not to mention several other areas in the Midwest here too. So that is all because of this system that was in Canada, and it just dropped straight down. Now, what caused that? Why did that happen? To do that, we're going to look at something called the jet stream, and we'll probably do an episode on this here in the near future. But the jet stream is like the highways of the weather systems. It pushes these cloud systems around these low and high pressure areas. This behind me is looking at wind vectors or the wind direction at the 250 millibar level. Scientists measure the pressure of the atmosphere, and they measure how high you go based on the pressure. So the lower the pressure, the higher you are in the atmosphere. At the 250 millibar pressure level, that is where you will find the jet stream. So let's take a look at this. Now this data set behind me is actually a forecast model. So we can't go back too much in time to take a look at this, but we can see generally what's happening right now. And you can see this big dip in the jet stream right here. That is what caused that bottoming out of the cold weather system. So that cold weather was up in Canada. And then because of the jet stream, it allowed that low pressure to just drop down into the Midwest, into the United States right here. So you can see that big drop in that big dip right there. And if you look over here, there is a big what's called ridge. and that indicates high pressure. Right now over the west coast, you can see the rotation right here. You see the clockwise rotation. That indicates a high pressure system. And look at these colors over here. That is a strong jet stream over that high pressure ridge. So that is a strong high pressure ridge. And as we go through this, you'll notice that by the rotation, this is a low pressure, here's a high pressure, and here's another low pressure. So this high pressure is kind of being squeezed between these two low pressure systems. And in my opinion, it kind of accentuates that, kind of strengthens that high pressure system there as it's being constricted there. Now, what caused that huge dip in the jet stream? Scientists think that it has a little something to do with those typhoons that hit Korea all the way on the other side of the world. So if we take a look at the jet stream here, if there is a strong low pressure system over here, it causes this jet stream to move, and it causes a wave in the jet stream here. See that wave right there? And that wave over here is going to cause an opposite effect on the other side. The opposite effect, it's going to lift up, and then once it lifts up, it's going to want to drop down again. Our Earth is constantly trying to maintain a balance. And when something affects or something interrupts that balance, it's going to try to do the opposite in order to balance things out. It's cause and effect. And if you guys tune in to our virtual home study day today, you can learn more about that cause and effect and see how what we do to our environment or what happens to Earth systems causes effects, both either good or bad, into other Earth systems. So cause and effect, those big storms that hit the West Pacific over in East Asia there, caused a big ripple in that jet stream, and that ripple is trying to work itself out, causing that big dip in the jet stream. So scientists are still looking into these dynamics. It's called fluid dynamics, and this air motion is very, very interesting, but it's also very complex, and scientists are still understanding how the cause in one area is going to affect the weather in other areas. So that is looking at what has caused this dramatic cold swing here in the Midwest. I wanted to take a look at one other thing that happened in September, and that is called meteorological fall. So meteorological fall is just a general description of when the fall season starts. Generally, meteorologists, weather scientists, they refer to the fall months as September, October, and November. So once September 1 hits, they just flip over their seasonal calendar and call it fall. But astronomically, that means based on where the Earth is compared to the sun, astronomically, fall doesn't start until September 22nd. So we still have about 2 more weeks of summer, and here we're getting snow. We have 2 more weeks of summer before we flip to astronomical fall. Now, how do we know when astronomical fall is? Well, that's why I brought this data set up, which is kind of interesting, which is pretty cool. If you look closely, you can see 2 shiny spots right here and right here. These shiny spots point out where the sun is reflecting directly off of the ocean. And so that shows you exactly where the sun is pointing directly at the Earth. Astronomical fall occurs when the sun crosses, the sun's direct rays crosses the equator. So these direct rays of the sun are getting really close to the equator of the Earth, and on September 22nd, that's when these rays of the sun will switch to the bottom of the Earth, the southern hemisphere, and continually traveling south, starting the southern hemisphere's spring and summer, and starting the northern hemisphere's fall and winter. So the sun will continue to travel south as it progresses into astronomical fall. Now, while I have this up here, there is some significant events going on the west coast. Because of that strong high pressure system, there have been numerous wildfires that have erupted. Right now, currently, there are over 87 large fires that are going on in the west coast, in the western states, with over 58 of those starting just in the last 24 hours. As people here in Colorado know, the conditions there are prime for wildfires. There is that strong high pressure system, which I pointed out to you. Strong high pressure system causes very dry air and high temperatures. So the Midwest, not the Midwest, the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast is experiencing high 90s with very low humidity and strong winds fueling these fires. So if you take a close look, you can see right here, all this brown right here, this is all smoke coming over the last day. This is smoke coming from all those fires in the West Coast. You have 23 large fires going on in California, 7 large fires in Oregon, and 6 large fires in Washington. And as I mentioned, several of those erupted just in the last 24 hours. So it's strange to be thinking about, but the Pacific Northwest is praying for rain in the next couple days. And unfortunately, it does not look like that's going to happen. Let's take a look at the forecast here. This is our forecast model, and remember that the black lines represent pressure. The greener areas, that's kind of colder air. What we're looking for is ridges, which indicate good weather, and troughs, which indicate rain or possible clouds. And so as this starts over, I'm going to pause it and take another look here. This is that system that it has come through the Midwest here. That's going to continue to push off. What's going to take its place here over the next few days is some high pressure. So that high pressure area that was over the West Coast is going to slide to the east. It's going to bring some high pressure to the Midwest here, and we're going to have some sunny days and normal temperatures back over the Midwest. Taking a look at further west, the West Coast here, there is a strong low pressure system developing west of Alaska. That's going to slide down, but it's going to take several days for it to get across. And so finally, by about the 16th, September 16th or so, that's the next time that the Pacific Northwest can look to see a drop in temperature and increase of clouds is about 14th, 15th, 16th, right in there, followed by a couple of systems. And they're praying for rain there, especially California, well, the whole West Coast. After seeing all that smoke in the air, it really is just very, it just brings that awareness that a lot of people are struggling right now. And they're praying that their homes and their lives are safe. So one other thing I wanted to point out or wanted to look at coming up, possibly weather-wise, going back to our satellite image, scientists in the Atlantic Ocean are watching a couple of systems. This is where hurricanes form, is off the coast of Africa. And what we are seeing here is one low-pressure system here they're keeping an eye on, a second low-pressure system here, a third low-pressure system here, and a fourth low-pressure system here. They're going to keep their eyes on them as these systems travel across the Atlantic Ocean. And I'll show that to you. You can see distinct pockets of clouds here, those distinct areas of low pressure right here, almost like a train, 1, 2, 3, and 4, developing there. And again, we'll keep an eye on that over the next week to see if these develop into hurricanes, and if those hurricanes are steered towards the East Coast, or if they are steered just north through the Atlantic Ocean. So stay tuned for that. We'll also bring you an update on the wildfires next week. If there's something that interests you, or if you want to find out more information about something, please send us a message on our social media platforms. We also encourage you to check out our virtual home study program, which is going to happen today. You can find out more information on discoverspace.org, and where we are going to talk about cause and effect, as well as how space and science can help you at home. So until next time, thank you for watching, and be thinking about those people on the West Coast, and also as you're digging out here in the Midwest, some sunny weather is coming. So